Okay, hello and welcome. This is the Soul Activator call, the first call of the month where we really bring these August, holy moly, welcome to August, where we really bring these August energies and frequencies, kind of bring them to a space and a place where you can really be set for success, I want to say, and how to optimize these frequencies. And for those of you who have watched the August energy update video, I just cannot stress enough how intensely activating this month of August is. Okay, so yes, we have been on a wild ride. We're on the 8th month. And I've been saying this for a while. I really do believe that everything we've experienced has been just the dress rehearsal. Okay, maybe not, or the opening act is what I've been calling it. So things are definitely expansive. We're in Leo energy. I'll get into all that in a moment. So just some tools and some tips and some tricks for how to really flow through this month and have it really serve you at your highest level. So let's begin just by closing our eyes. And let's set this beautiful container. And I just want to thank each of you for your presence this day. And if there's any spot on your body that your body is feeling called to bring your hands to, then by all means, please listen. And we're going to begin just by allowing your breath to neutralize, to stabilize. Neutral breath. A couple of breaths in and out. And what you want to begin to move towards is that your exhalation actually becomes a slower exhale, normal inhalation, and then slow the exhalation. And just by being intentional in the slowing of the exhalation, it actually helps to support the downregulation of the nervous system, bringing you into the parasympathetic, into the rest and digest, and into presence. So from this space, we're just going to focus on literally the space between your heart and your solar plexus. Maybe you envision first the solar plexus with an activation of fire that burns upward and begins to illuminate your heart chakra. And there's that sweet spot of the space in between, which is very much like the space in between the third and the fifth dimension. So we're just going to focus here, and we're going to ask higher intelligence, higher self, higher heart, all the higher aspects of you to be in presence, to set your system so that you're connected and there's an effortless flow between heaven and earth through your physical, your mental, your emotional, and your energetic bodies. And I'm going to summon the ancestors. We're doing so much release through ancestral timelines. I'm going to summon them and ask them to be present here, welcoming guides, angels, all divine beings of light, quantum, galactic, and otherwise, through the earth planes and the multidimensional planes. All that come must be aligned in light and in service of the individual and the collective. And summoning them to create a circle of light around us, a container, whether you're receiving this live or on the recording, it shall be set the same. It shall move through all directions and dimensions of time and space. And we do set the intention that everything that transpires here is intended to and shall be in service for the greatest and the highest good. Anything that is offered will be offered to your higher self to be received and or dismissed, to be implemented and or integrated, whatever way serves you, and whatever time frame, whatever sequence, and whatever resonance serves your highest good, and so it is. One more nice deep breath. Just opening up all the portals between heaven and earth. You can start from the heart and work your way up and down, or you can start from the very outside of heaven and earth and work your way in, whatever it is, or it can happen all in one flash of light. And just to open your receptivity, and we'll ask that anything that is attached, that is complete, shall be released to be renewed in whatever frequency it desires. Yeah, and then just take a nice deep breath, maybe move your body around just a little bit. We're not going in too deeply because we do have an attunement to do in a little bit. Bringing yourself back here into presence. And let's go. Here we go. August. Oh my goodness. So we just received the full moon that happened yesterday, and it came as a highly charged full moon. It comes with the sign of Aquarius, and Aquarius is like the innovator. It's the evolution. It's the revolution. Aquarian. I'm an Aquarius actually. Aquarian energy is kind of like, let's get moving forward. It's progressive. It's leaving. It'll leave the old behind almost too quickly sometimes for some other more stationary signs. We're just ready to get going, get moving, and look beyond, like color outside of the lines is what I want to say. So it's a really revolutionary energy. And so that full moon that came yesterday is really activating this higher resonance of thinking differently, of thinking into what's possible. And we're really being supported by just the elevation, the activation, the awakening process, right? So we've been going through this, they're calling it the symmetry, is what my guides are saying, of just, and they're showing it to me very, very much from a quantum perspective, like lines and shapes and numbers. So we're far enough in our progression of our awakening, of our ascension, that when a moon of this caliber comes, it's kind of like to shake the last of the debris loose, is what they're saying. So like the work has already been done for most of the collective. Of course, we're all popping through at different times, but I keep seeing this as almost like a tipping point. Okay. So then we're like, all of the foundations have been shaken loose enough. It's kind of like if you're doing a remodel, right? You like bang everything down and then you sweep everything out, right? To show the clean slate for the new. And so everything is kind of being broken down, but now it's like sweeping it out. So you can see more clearly the open space, a potentiality, and of beyond the illusions really that we have been programmed and living within for quite some time. And so this moon is coming with this like massive activation for this. So if you're uncomfortable, that's okay. Finding comfort in the discomfort is actually part of this journey right now. And where we find discomfort is often because we are holding on because we're afraid, right? So we're holding on to something that we perceive to be stabilizing, even though from a higher perspective, we know that all we attach to in this dimensional plane is illusionary anyway, right? So you had asked me before we went on recording about my home. My home is under review. It's we don't know where it's going to go. So I have this illusion that this home creates stability for me because on one plane it does. But in the truth is that we are sovereign to source. And wherever it is that we shall be the solid home of our foundation, right? So we're able to see this more clearly. And a lot of it has to do with an emotional attachment shift, is what they're saying right now. We're shifting our emotional attachment to what we perceive to believe. So what that is kind of opening up, and also I just want to say that today is a 7-day. So it's the 4th day of the 8th month, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So if you add all the numbers together, it's 16, which gives us 7. So today, the number 7 is we get to go straight across the understanding of heaven, and we get to bring it down to earth. It's the number of spirituality. It's the number of higher consciousness. It's really, so that moon shone brightly yesterday, right? And then we come into the 7-day right on the heels of it. So we have this awakening of being able to see clearly. And then today, what we get to see is the truth, if you will, of heaven. And then we get to bring it like a direct conduit right down to earth. So I want to say your access point of understanding from a clearer perspective is at an all-time high today. And this will continue through this month. Like, we don't really understand everything that has been happening behind the scenes. We are in like quantum recoding frequencies. Our bodies are going through so much. Our higher selves are like, everything is like super, super sonic. And we can't see it. We just can feel like, oh, I feel really good some days. And then there's the crash and the burn and the confusion and then the reawakening. And it's like over and over and over again. So we're all primed in perfection. And there isn't so much that it is for any of us to do other than to be in our full presence. So this month is fiery, it's intense, and it's like a massive turning point, a massive transformative time. I mean, this all has been a transformative time, but I want to say this is a little bit like a crescendo. And it's kind of like, you know, you've been building this momentum, you've been building everything up, 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 up. And this is where it either goes like this or it goes like this, is what I want to say. But you can only keep building a structure up for so long, and it's either going to have to stabilize or it's going to have to kind of tip over and just expose. So we're in a big exposure portal, is what I want to say. So you might feel the energy to be, it can be sharp. I mean, we're in Leo season 2, so it's that lion. It can be sharp. It can be reactive. There's this first half of this month can feel like almost like it's a really yang energy, right? It can feel like a volatile. It can feel disruptive. It's like fire and intensity, right? So it's, when I say this, August is coming in hot, 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 this is what I'm talking about. I also want to say that just with some of the astrology and the numerology, and again, I'm not an astrologer, I just reference it because it informs a lot and makes sense. And I want to say that you're going to be called to make some really big decisions. And this will be reflective internally and externally, perhaps in your personal life, perhaps in your interpersonal life, right? To make some really big decisions. And I can really feel the tenderness of it in my heart right now. I feel some emotion around it because it's really this inner perspective of like, what am I stand for? What do I believe? Not from an external perspective, but from a really strong internal wisdom. What am I a stand for? And part of how you get to the understanding of this is by kind of dismissing the outside chatter and spending a lot more time in the inner gaze, right? What do I know to be true? Not because I've always been told it's true, not because everybody around me believes it to be true, but what do I know to be true? Because when I sit with it, it resonates inside of my body and creates a significant expansion. So when we're sitting in truth from a soul perspective, we feel nothing but spaciousness. We feel nothing but love. So it's kind of this really beautiful built-in compass for decision making and for truth deciphering. And part of the program of this third dimensional template has been to distract the inner knowing to attach to an outer wisdom. And what we're doing is we're reversing that. So we're demystifying the code that has told us that we don't know the truth. You know, I mean, oh my goodness, think of the programs that we get from childhood. Who do you think you are? You don't know everything. You know, like we are just told over and over and over again that we don't have sovereignty over our own wisdom and that we are to attach to something externally to find the truth. And what's becoming transparent or apparent or coming to life is that your inner wisdom is the truth. Your soul holds the frequency of all that aligns and resonates for truth. And so when we release the distractors or the destabilizers or the amplification of external knowledge, then we can sit in what we might perceive to be a whisper of inner truth. And the sooner each of us collectively are willing to move into that space, the sooner we will collectively rise into the next level of our freedom. And yeah, that just came as a channel. So we're like, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Turn off the distractors. Get yourself into nature. Sit with yourself and pay attention to how do you feel. And that means we also have to be really mindful of where we're disrupting our ability to be in our truest resonance of feeling and of thought. So there was a channel that came through. I'll see if I can find it. It's a couple years ago that it was talking about how we're so good at these disruptors, right? It's through sound, through, music, through light, through television, through substances, through like, oh my goodness, look at all the ways we distract ourselves in any given day. Because what's uncomfortable usually is the being. Like, what are we so afraid to find in the silence? What we might find is our salvation. What we'll definitely find is our sovereignty. So just being mindful, really. So this full moon, again, it's about innovative thought, revolutionary. It's about making your own thoughts. Mercury is going to move into Leo in the next couple of days, which will also give us this really fundamental increased opportunity to get more creative about how we're thinking. Okay, so everything's like all points are all aligning to this, like, you are the guru, you are sovereign, your inner wisdom is the truth, and just dismiss, deny, and disallow for outside noise just long enough to get the inside wisdom, the inner wisdom being the loudest voice in your internal room. Like, I cannot stress this enough. And then all of this brings us to the 8-8 Lionsgate portal, which is, in my opinion, one of the biggest activations of the year. Both through astrology and numerologically speaking. It's the infinity of possibilities. And then it brings us full circle to the 9-9 portal. So it opens at 8-8, it closes at 9-9. And what it does, so 9 is the number of completion, 8 is the number of infinite possibilities, right? So it's this huge bridge that literally raises the collective frequency of the planet. So here we are, we've been doing all this deconstruction and reconstruction and self-sovereignty and dismissing, and we've been doing all of this. And then we get this huge next level, huge optimization of new light code frequency. And the light codes have been flooding into this planet for quite some time now, but the volume is just turning up and turning up. And this day is going to mark like yet another crescendo of just intensive light activation. And it's really to align us. It aligns us really like to bring heaven to earth. So what is your ultimate desire, your ultimate freedom? A lot about freedom. How do you desire to be free? How do you desire to exist on this plane? Like your dreams, your desires to be made manifest in the light of the divine. That's the opportunity. And I'm going to be doing an activation on the 8-8 date on Saturday. I'll attach a link to this email when you get the recording, but do come. What's happening today is going to open the frequency for the direct download that you'll receive on Saturday. So then the second half of this month is going to shift, a huge energy shift. So this is like intense, 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 intense. And then we're going to have a shift, and everybody's going to receive it differently. It's like a mid-month shift, and then it'll really expand with the new moon that will come. I think it's on the 18th. What's coming is a real cry for justice, for truth, and for freedom. So we get all this resolve of information sovereign to us and understand. And then we're going to kind of demand it within ourselves and command it within our world at large. So yeah, some big stuff. And we're already watching a lot of this, but we're going to just see it kind of come to a whole new level. So what to do? Really important. It is so important to be in immense self-care of self, to nurture yourself, nurture your emotional health. Whatever that means for you. For me, it means outputting less externally and inputting more internally. So creating space and time for myself and saying no to things that I'm a really solid yes, but sometimes I have to be a really solid no to balance. Nurture nature. I want to say nurture yourself and get in nature to allow this planet, this Gaia, to be part of your nurturing sequence. Also priority number one is you and your health. It's a great month. It's a lot about cleansing. It's about purging. It's about purging the old, the beliefs. It's also about purging the physical. Great month for detoxification. Great month for like cleaning out the closets, but also like purging on the physical level too. So really good month to bring that into presence. Be present and attached to nothing. So it's like be present to everything as the observer, but be really mindful of where you're attaching to anything. So we've been going on through this like stripping away process, right? For years, but really this year. And we got into this like stripping away of our daily patterns, our practices, how we did business, how we showed up. We got out of our routines, right? Which allowed the things that were complete really to strip away. And then as we started kind of coming back into the world, we got to reorganize. How many people's lives have changed significantly in response to what's occurred over these last few months? People deciding not to go back to jobs, people leaving relationships, moving homes, starting new businesses. Huge reorganization, right? Huge purge of the old. So we've been having this opportunity to really just be present. It's the sweet surrender. Also an opportunity for you to see what you attach to, right? And I started this whole conversation about like, what do you fundamentally believe like creates safety for you? And what do you believe, where your attachments to what you believe supports you at the highest level. And like, it's really this opportunity to move from these interesting illusionary attachments to where we think we are sovereign and safe, and move into an expanse that we are always sovereign and we are always safe when it is what it is that we are tuning to and what it is we are in expectation of. So slow down. We got to slow down. Everything's spinning super fast, but you get to be like the eye of the storm, right? Like let it swirl, but can you find your stationary pause even when? And it's interesting, like when we go to stabilize, we close our eyes, right? We stop the outside spin and we go inside, right? The inside lens is where we can find the pause. Slow down, pause, slow pause, presence. And then again, just to reiterate, the thinking for yourself. Okay, we're so accustomed to taking in so much information. And there's nothing wrong with taking in information. Take in information so that then you can make a decision if that information actually lands as an elevated frequency in your own body. Does it make you feel good? That which makes you feel good is always, always your body's truth. And it's not feeling good from here. It's literally like when you find neutral and you find the pause and you can really be objective in the neutrality. Does this thing without attaching to, because I have a story about, I see it a lot in people in relationships. They have an ideal that they want to be with this person. And then they say, but that makes me feel good. But if they're to get out of the story that they've painted or created about what they perceive or believe this relationship is, and they get into the truth of it, does it feel good? And let that to really truly inform the next steps, right? This is us moving from third dimension into higher frequency, right? It's about us moving from the illusionary state of the 3D into the revolutionary state of higher consciousness. And when we're in that higher consciousness space, we realize that we are separate from nothing. And we choose to expand upon only that which truly serves us on a cellular level, right? It doesn't make sense from the mind. The mind is deconstructing. The personality is deconstructing. The ego is deconstructing to reconstruct in a frequency that actually serves us at a higher level. So this is not child's play. This is deep soul play, and we are all perfect in it. So perfectly sourced, perfectly supported, perfectly sovereign. We have everything we need when we let go of an illusion that anything that we need is outside of us. You're the creators, and you are one with source. You are source. All the rest has been a big disruptive lie. And so now we get to move into the truth. Everything is here for you. How beautiful is that? Okay, so this is the time in our in our meeting. See if there's any chats. Anybody have any questions so far? Nope. Okay, this is the point where we're going to go in and I'm going to take you on a little meditation. We're going to do a little channeling, and then we'll move back into some Q&A if anything pops up for you. So if you have some water, it's always a good thing. And today, drink a lot. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. Okay. Just close this chat window. Okay. Patient with me for just a second. Okay, let's find a space. And they're talking about really just slowing the frequency of the physical body. And actually going into the space, you might actually feel like you're falling asleep because I'm getting that kind of heavy. It almost feels like a collapse energy. And it's just important to remind you, if you feel like that, then just really just close your eyes. If you're driving, obviously not, but if you're driving, maybe receive this later in its full transmission. You'll receive it now and later. But that kind of falling asleep feeling whenever I start to go in tells me that they actually need you in a bit of a theta state. And theta is it's a brain level that is achieved often when you're falling asleep, or it's the space between awakening and sleeping. And it's where we access the subconscious. It's a really important subconscious space. And so we're just going to sit in that we're going to open up the top of our heads. There we go. And your only thing to do is just to relax and to release. We're going to optimize back into the third chakra just to expand the portal so that the portal of your own being the space where the chakra fluidity runs from heaven to earth, like the spinal column. We're just asking that it energetically elevate and optimize to open so that that which is being brought down from heaven might have ease in moving through body. They're also saying that we show up to these things because in some ways we want to have all of the experience in our bodies. We want to have all of that. We want to optimize all we can, and we want to expand as much as we can. And they're saying it's also important to remember that you are a conduit, that that which comes to you and that which comes through you is intended to move through you. It is not just for your own pleasure, dear ones. That which comes is because part of your soul agreement was to be the light force frequency, to be the bridge between that of heaven and that of earth. You had agreed through soul perspective to be here in presence on this planet at this time. We will get back to the activation, but we wanted to make our presence here now known. We do have much to say, and we are happy to make acquaintance with you this day. And yes, we are the Light Council. We are the Council of Light, and we are here on our full frequency. There are 13 of us amongst you this day. Thank you and welcome. We are honored to be in the presence, as we always are. And yes, indeed, we do have much to share. It is a reminder, too, that these words are not the space of which you shall be receiving the greatest influence, but it is actually the generation of the frequency of which the words shall deliver. Thank you for your yes, for your sovereignty, and for your grace in being here in your presence. Yes. What we are wanting you to understand is that part of the agreement for you to be embodied in the presence of this time is so that you too can be the conduit. You are the delivery system, dear ones. So the lights, the light codes, the light frequencies that are bestowing themselves upon your planet are coming in rapid flux and rapid flow. And you might understand this as being part of the resonance pattern of how your earth, how the earth, the planetary Gaia, of which you call, reflects. It is a reflection of the higher frequency of light. And it is an embodiment in many ways. So the light frequencies come from above to be reflected into the earth frequencies, to be absorbed and then mirrored back. It is a reciprocal expression between heaven and earth. And your agreements, dear ones, were to be, we will call it a secondary, although some of you might consider it to be a preliminary, and it matters not because it will be explained later. You are like a vessel, like a conduit, because of the supreme electric frequency charge that your bodies resonate through and that your souls have agreed to. When the light codes come down to be received and optimized through your frequencies, some of them are here to activate cellular frequency. Some of them are here to remove disrupted frequencies that have been placed upon you. All of them that are coming are to reorganize and optimize you for your greatest expression. And they are also coming down through you because of the special, we will call it, way of which your own frequency matches the light code frequencies and expands it. You are great expanders. So if you think of it as this vessel that you are optimizing, brings the light codes, expands through your own expression, and then offers an activation. You are the activators. You come to us to be activated, but we come to you because you are the activators. So when it is given, when the codes are given to you, they optimize frequency within your own cellular structure, and then they are to be delivered into this earth through you. We are not sure that you have all gotten this until this time. It is why we have come with this important message for you this day. You are the conduits of the light frequency, so it might be activated into the fullest expression upon this earth. When we say you are here to bridge heaven to earth, we literally mean you are the conduits of the light frequency to be delivered, exchanged, and to be birthed. And in exchange, this earth too does gift to you different frequencies for the harmonization of the light codes of which you have received. It is this beautiful exchange. And we want you to understand that when we ask you to get to earth frequencies, yes, all that we offer to you is for your expansion. It is for your growth. It is for you as soul wise beings to have the experience of expansion, although you do not need it, because from a soul wise perspective, you are already fully expanded. You have chosen to come into the optimized of these bodies to create an elevation, and you are the conduit of the deliverance of it through you. When we ask you to get to the earth, it is to balance and stabilize you, but it is also to balance and stabilize her. We do not think, no, we do, no, we want you to know the significance that you play. And we are not yet sure that you have fully embodied the significance of you in the stand that you take, in the presence that you hold. Each and every one of you. Each and every one of you has a unique imprint, and each and every one of you has a unique connection into both the star codes and the earth codes. You all have crystalline frequency that is alive within the cornerstones, we will call it, within the core of this earth. That is soul identification. And what you are doing is optimizing the spaces between the galactic expression and the earthly resonance. And yes, we understand, because you have an egoic sense of yourselves and you cannot help it. It is part of the human design and it is transforming. But in many ways, everything that you go through, you think is about you. And we love you so much. You get locked in so many ways and loaded into your interpersonal expressions and reflections of what it is you are experiencing. And we appreciate this and love you so much. But we want you to understand that that is just a part of the expression of what it is you are here to embody and to embrace. The understanding, you cannot see the big picture. We have said this to you many times, and in time you shall. So when you become hyper focused upon the things that are relevant in the up close to the mirror that you sit, when your nose is so close to that which you see that you cannot see beyond it, this is the interpersonal reflection of your own life's experience. But that is just the beginning of what it is you are here to understand. So when you are attached so much to the thing that is right in front of you because you want it to be different, or you want it to be like this, or you are uncomfortable, or you are sad, or you are scared, or you are angry, or you are frustrated, or you are excited, or you are joyous, or you are any of the emotions, we want you to know that that is but a small sliver of the big pie of which you are here to explore. So we say this to you only so that you can have a remembrance to not become too attached to this life's journey. For all of it has already resolved. It is all already complete. It is just that you cannot see the finish line of it because you are so focused upon the middle point of it that you haven't taken a step back yet far enough to see that the resolve is already right there with the chaos or the discomfort, we will call it. So we're coming today. Here comes the codes of activation and remembrance. They will come down and you will feel perhaps a sense of a warm honey, perhaps a sense of an emotion. We're here remembering you this day, that you indeed are the conduit of light frequency, that it moves through you, that it supports, sustains, and elevates you so that you may in fact support, sustain, and elevate the frequency of this planet. And the exchange moves in both directions. You are here for significance, dear ones. You're here for significance beyond your suffering, beyond your struggles, beyond your discomfort. There is immense comfort. There is immense freedom. And there is immense opportunity for you. We ask that you take a deep breath. And you allow all of this to sustain itself into a new optimization within the cellular structure. We will be decoding some of the memory banks that will ease in you seeing yourself in greater connection, as opposed to the intensity of separation that you have been operating through forever on earthly plane. And when we say that it is important for you to connect into the earth frequencies, and we say that it is important for you to connect into the light frequencies of the suns and the moons and the stars, it is so that you may then be able to optimize the full conductivity of you as the amplifier between heaven and to earth, dear ones. Yes, it is for your pleasure. Yes, it is for your expansion. And yes, it is beyond you, bigger than you, and part of your agreement. We cannot begin to explain to you the significance that you hold in your presence and in your willingness. You will see that many, many, many of you will notice that you are and will more rapidly come to a place of needing to dismiss the things that distract. Because what once had brought you pleasure from the illusionary space will actually, from the non-illusionary space, begin to displeasure you. We say this in terms of the things that are used as distractors or as inhibitors. Addictions, we will say, and there are many. Not all addictions are perceived as unhealthy, but if it distracts and deters you from the truest essence of who you are in order to lessen your presence in any given moment, then in fact it must transform with you. So you will be moving into a space, dear ones, well, you will have opportunity to ask yourself, why? Why am I choosing this in this moment? Is this of the old or of the new? Does this bring me pleasure in a way that enables me to be my greatest conduit of light frequency from heaven to earth? If it opens your portals more widely and is sustainable in the opening of the portal, then by all means, enjoy. But if it is in fact shutting down the mechanisms of your presence, distracting or detracting from your greatest expression, then we ask you to ask you, what else is it that I could choose in this moment that would allow me to be in greater service to the collective as a conduit of pure expression? And when you are asking questions such as this, the limitation, we will say, of third dimensional frequency shall be overrode with a capacity from a higher expression to set you free from the limitation itself. So we're speaking to things such as addictions, the things that are used to numb or to distract. Oh, and there are many. When asked in the way that has just been positioned, you will find that the illusion of addiction shall too be released. Nothing needs to be held in an addictive state when you are in your highest expression of frequency. When it is down-regulated, it no longer exists within your field and it is complete. This is new for you. You are used to going about the business of struggling and suffering to be free of that which you no longer desire to be attached to. And we're here to remind you that that too is an illusionary expression from lower density disconnection. We're going to ask you to sit in silence for a moment, dear ones. We are activating a halo of light above your crown. And it has 7 orbs of light to sustain and to support it. It is almost as if it is a vessel to keep the crown open wide for the receiving of that which is in flooding through you now and in the days that are to follow. We will call it shielding only because you understand that term, and filtering, so that only that which optimizes frequency for elevation within you shall be allowed to enter this very sacred portal of which you are allowing us to open so generously and gracefully. Thank you. It is important that you keep all of your frequencies open for your fullest receiving. This means all the way down through your physical body. There are 11 days of light code activations that are on their way to you, dear ones. You must sustain and maintain your physical body in pristine care with love. Always offering love to this vessel that has agreed to support and to sustain so much within and around you. Always with love. Shall you receive and shall you implement? Always with love. Shall you expand? Shall you learn? Shall you grow? Always with love. Shall you heal collectively? We have enjoyed our time with you this day, as we always do. Thank you for honoring us in presence. Take good care of yourselves because you are precious and so valuable. Thank you for your yes. Thank you for understanding. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for being the divine conduits that you are. And until we meet again in this plane, we are always available to connect with you in all the ways. We love you. Thank you. Goodbye. So we're just going to stay in this space for a moment. I see this like a crown. It's interesting. I see it like a crown with these 7 projectors coming out of it that really are here just to hold the space open. It literally almost looks like the crown of Jesus to me, which is really interesting. The perception was that it was a crown of thorns that poked in, but what they're showing me was it was a crown of that poking in was only to open up. That crown of thorns was actually part of the precursor to the opening of higher elevation of consciousness. It was interpreted to be different than that which it was presented to be, but it is okay. We see this happen a lot. So we're elevating into a higher frequency of consciousness, of the Christ consciousness, which is the I am presence of all that is and all that shall ever be. And as the divine conduits of earthly, heavenly energy, you are primed and you are perfect, is what they're saying. So if you have any pressure that's uncomfortable, just ask that it be adjusted in a way that can create greater ease for you. And we will put it all to your higher self to adjust and optimize, always in service to you, to the highest good, in this preparatory activation that shall be moving over an 11-day sequence. So very, very, very gently, dear ones. Begin to just kind of move your body. I'm getting this image almost of like seaweed, how it just kind of begins to expand and to move. And we're going to have you find your way ever so gently back here. This was not, it was a light frequency. It wasn't a light frequency, though. It was pretty expansive. So move gently with thyself this day. We have just 5 minutes left. Hello, so nice to see you. Some of your faces I didn't get to see earlier. And any questions? Anything that's left unclear or unresolved? Hmm. Hmm. I can hear your mind's ticking. Anything at all?
Just a comment. I only was able to join for the last 10 minutes of that. It was beautiful. And so I look forward to the recording, but just the sense that there's there's a lot of adjustment and recalibration going on. And it
Oh,
affects
yeah.
us all differently, right? So I'm experiencing that, and I know so many people that I know are experiencing that.
Yeah, it's profound. And it's really the opportunity to attach to nothing. I mean, here we go, right? And thank you for bringing that up. And really, we have this opportunity to trust at this like next deep level that we have everything we need to do this. Like, we got this. But holy moly, is it a lot, right? I think it's also really important that I'm so glad you said this, Christina, because none of us are alone. Like, this is a collective experience, and we're all popping in different ways, different times, and it's all going to come through, like, basically kind of some of it the way our karma is designed, because we're also, I believe, releasing karma. I think that karma is going to be complete. Like, why would we do karma? Just makes no sense. So we're like wrapping up karma. And so we're all having this really interpersonal experience of it, but it's a collective experience, right? So I think it's so important that we lean in and we love on each other, and we just really know that none of us are alone, right? And I know you're doing really beautiful things in the world too, as part of the support, as many of the humans here are. So thank you for how you support so beautifully. And may we all really just open up to be, however we're called into service, to be a stand to support, because and this also brings up something in some of this great exposure and some of the things that are coming, even though I don't really know what they are, but I can feel them. We are going to be called into really high level service as this matrix begins to collapse, and that which we perceive to be solid and strong and right becomes kind of exposed. And I feel like a lot of people aren't going to know where to put their comfort. And so we get to remind them that their comfort is always in the grace of the sovereignty of Source and nothing else, right? So if you're called to service in any way, whether no matter what it is, like even if it's a lemonade stand outside of your house because it would make somebody happy, like there is nothing is too small or too grand. Whatever the call to service, we must trust it, because we are really truly being called to the next level, to create a solid foundation for the awakening of humanity at large. So it is. So it is. A lot of opening and love. Yeah, I felt a lot of opening and love in that too. Wowzer, here we go. What a wild ride we're on. I just want to honor each and every one of you. If there's no more questions, if there are, you can pop in. If not, we're going to wrap up.
I want to just have one observation. I felt a lot of agitation in the middle of that.
Awesome. What do you want to do with it?
I don't know. How should I think of it, or what?
Well, what I would encourage you to do is not to think of it, but to feel with it. Because this is where the deconstruct of some of the mind stuff comes up, right? So we're like, I want to make sense of it. I want to make sense. I will also say, interestingly enough, okay. I've been looking at these things called like disruptor energies. There's a lot of tag along energy frequencies. Sometimes we call them entities. Sometimes we call them there's a lot of things that have attached to our pain bodies. And when we optimize at higher light frequencies, some of these feeder energies actually get really disturbed. They're like, so one of the videos I had done in the collective was about seeing that the mind and the personality and the ego, like that they were fearing their demise, right? They were fearing their collapse. But after a couple of days, what came clear was that those aspects of our being are going to integrate. What's collapsing are any energies that are attached to them. And I know this gets kind of complex at the top of the hour, but there are dark and light. There's energies moving around us all the time, right? There's things attached. We attach to each other, we cord to each other. There's other things that attach to us. And as we deconstruct the pain body, right, which is the illusionary aspect that we've held as being part of us from third dimension, there's actually feeder energies attached to those, if this makes sense. And those feeder energies want to keep us in a state of fear, of discomfort, of dis-ease, because it's like parasitic energy, right? It's like if the tick wants the dog to be alive because it feeds from its blood. Okay. So these feeder energies of lower vibrational want us to stay in states of fear and anger and because that's how they feed. And so the mind, the ego, and the personality have a lot of these things attached to them. So as we're elevating in consciousness and as these aspects of 3D separation begin to meld, these things that have been attached to them are going to have to fall off. And imagine the tick falling off the dog. It's pissed. It doesn't, it's like, I don't want to, right? So sometimes that agitation is actually an external influence that doesn't want you to come into your greatest light frequency because it would be the demise of its existence. I know that is complex to bring to the table at the end. So sit in resonance with it. How do you reverse it or release it is really coming into functionality of highly sustaining and maintaining your energy body, washing it in light all the time, and just saying that which is not mine is to be released from me now. That which is mine is to raise its frequency to its highest calibration that it can sustain and maintain in this moment. Always seeking for peace, attaching to nothing, being the observer. Is that helpful?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. I love you all. Thank you so much for playing with me, for being here with me, for being here on the planet and serving at the level that you're serving. You are phenomenal. And join me on Sunday or Saturday for the 8/8 Lionsgate portal. It's a big one. I'll send you information if you don't have it already. So let me take us off of recording.